This is the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. I'm Oisin Langan. As always, we're recording late on a Friday for you to enjoy on Saturday or beyond. Coming up, St Patrick's Athletic manager Tim Clancy on their 2-0 loss to Bohemians at Richmond Park. That's their third defeat on the bounce. We'll also hear from Saints captain Joe Redmond, and Keith Treacy will give us his thoughts on the game and where it's going wrong for St Pat's and right for Bohs, because keep in mind, that's a fourth victory in 5 matches for them. Their manager Declan Devine had a chat with us after the game. Also, McGuinness on Shamrock Rovers 0-all draw away to Shelburne at Tolka Park. Gareth Mc Glynn will join us to tell us about Derry City's scoreless draw against Dundalk. And Ronan McNamara of extratime.com watched Drogheda's 1-0 victory away to UCD at the UCD Bowl. We'll also have more on the First Division. Galway beating Kerry FC by 9-1. We know it's going to be a tough season for Kerry, but no one wants to see that. Cove Ramblers, what a season they're having so far. A 3-0 victory away to Treaty United. Shane Keegan is doing a great job there. He somehow got Jack Doherty to the club. That was a great signing. Jack Doherty repaid him with a couple of goals tonight. Waterford with a 1-0 win away to Athlone. And Finn Harps drawing 0-all at home to Wexford FC. First up, let's go to Richmond Park, where St Patrick's Athletic lost 2-0 to Bohemians. The pressure really on Tim Clancy now. After the match, I caught up with him.
Listen, we conceded poor goals and didn't take chances when we got them, so we came away with nothing.
How can you get it right?
Stop conceding goals and take chances that we get.
And how will you go about that? Because look, it's a silly question, I know, because he would have done that the last 2 games, but is there something specific? Is there one particular thing that you need to get right? What needs to happen?
Just stop conceding the goals we're conceding. We're handing teams goals, and then when we are getting chances down the far end, I think they scored a good header in the first half off Alabi. We can defend it better, but it's a good header, and I think we've got a far easier header second half where Talbot makes a save and a straight at him. So it's sort of, that's what we're looking at the minute. But no, it's just simple. Just stop giving away poor goals and take the chances that we get.
You'll be aware that fans aren't happy and rumours starts. Well, not rumours. It's not a rumour, but pressure comes on your shoulders. How do you handle that? And how do you take the pressure off the lads, or maybe even put the pressure on the lads? Or how does it work from here?
Listen, the nature that I'm in as I'm a football manager, if you're not getting results, a lot of fans aren't going to be happy, and rightly so. So we've lost 3 games in a week, which isn't good enough. And now it's just to try and get going next week to win a game against Rovers.
And finally, it is early in the season, so sometimes it takes a while to click. Are you hoping maybe that's a factor in all this?
Listen, we need to turn the results around. You can't be losing games of football when you're at a club like Pat, so you don't get time. And again, 5 games in, but we've got nowhere near the points that we should have at the minute, and listen, we have to put that right in the next game. This
is the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and I'm joined here in Richmond Park by Joe Redmond, the St Patrick's Athletic captain. Joe, fair play to you for coming out and speaking. I know it's a tough night. What went wrong out there tonight?
Yeah, definitely a tough night for us. I mean, we've harped on about conceding soft goals, and we've gone and conceded one early, and then we're fighting to get back in the game, and there's still time left, and we conceded another soft goal. It tends to be the way it's going at the minute for us, but overall performance, it needs to be better. With the fans coming out in the numbers, selling out this after losing back-to-back games, and still pushing us and still singing the whole way through the game. It's we owe them an apology first off, and look, we can't just say, oh look, I apologise. We need to show that out on the pitch and in our performances, in running by people and getting into tackles, and just overall being better than we have been over the last 3 games.
How do you show that?
I think we have to show it by sticking together and making sure we all know our roles when we step out onto the pitch, because the goals we're conceding are soft, but we all take responsibility as a whole. Like everyone in there, we're not pointing fingers at each other. We're all going to make mistakes. We need to dig each other out and if we're going to make mistakes in the right areas, and currently we're not doing that, so we need to digest it and then go and do it.
Do the players need to maybe look at themselves as a cliche, but do you need to go off and have a chat amongst yourselves and leave management do the same and meet somewhere in between and just have open and honest conversations, which I know can be very tough, but maybe it's the thing to do?
Look, after the 2 defeats, we've gone through it and we've tried to break it down and into what's happening, and like there's spells there where we're showing what we're like, but there's too many spells where we were shown how we don't play as a club, as what this club stands for, with the standards that it sets, and the tempo and the intensity at which we play isn't there at the minute, and we really do need to change it and get that right next week, because we're up in Tala.
This is hurting you and the players, isn't it? I know the fans are frustrated and they're disappointed, but there's no one more frustrated, more disappointed than you and your team.
Yeah, we're really hurting big time. Obviously, we go in there and emotions are high after the game, and it does hurt. And that's what as we're saying in there, you can't be a individual, it's your fault, or that's all about sticking together now. And I think that's so important that we do stick together, because we have a great group in there with great quality, and we know how good we are, and we just need to bring that out on a Friday night. I said to the lads before the game, we just need to show everyone how good we are. Yeah, we're standing here after another 2-0 loss.
Joe, I know it's easy to talk after wins when everything's going great. It's really tough to come out after a defeat. So I appreciate it, and I know the Pats fans listening will as well. Joe Redmond, thanks for joining us on the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast.
Look, thank you.
Bohemians manager Declan Devine, a 2-0 victory here at Redmond Park. Give me your thoughts on the game.
Delighted to get the points. Really happy with performance. I thought for long periods of the game we were very good. When you see your two centre forwards, Jonathan Afolabi getting the opening goal early on, it gives a huge lift, and then they see Dean Williams come on, who hasn't had a lot of minutes, and they get the second goal. It was very pleasing. But look, it's 3 points. We really enjoyed it, because listen, our supporters have spent a lot of money in the last week going to 3 games in Dublin, money that's very tight at the minute, and I asked the players to give them something to go home happy with, and I think they've done that. They sent our fans away home happy, because the last time we were here it wasn't a happy occasion, so it was very important that we sent our people home happy tonight. And the players, I thought each and every one of them were magnificent. I thought our goalkeeper's save is a huge point in the game. But I just felt overall, I thought we were very comfortable. We were very good footballers, and again we used our squad with huge effect.
Keith Treacy picked up on commentary your back three that turns into a back four when it needs to. He said that they're very solid, they're very organised, and your transition is really, really good. Now that doesn't happen by accident. It looks like it's something that you've really put an awful lot of work into.
Now, listen, we've got good players. They're adaptable. They understand that we've got very good attack-minded players, but we also have to make sure we're resilient right throughout the team. Like for instance, tonight we didn't have our inspirational captain playing. We didn't need to take a risk, which is mad to say, because we've good players that come off the bench. I think we've got a couple of different ways of playing. I think we can hurt teams down the sides. I think we can penetrate teams through the middle. I think we can counter-attack, and I think we can keep possession. That's not about coaching or management. That's about good footballers, and we've got good footballers at the club.
How good was it for Afolabi to get his first goal in the league this season tonight? Because you get the feeling that now that he's got one, the pressure's kind of off, and it might create the opportunity to get more.
I think the only pressure was coming from you guys in the press, because there was certainly no pressure anyone in the changing room, because we knew it was coming. He's that good of a player. We knew it was only a matter of time. So look, pressure, pressure's a privilege when you're playing for Bohs. It's something that you have to enjoy. But there's no doubt Jonathan Afolabi's a sensational player, as is the other 20 players in the squad. We've a lot of quality. We've people coming off the bench that haven't had many minutes. So we're really happy with tonight, but we won't get carried away. With a lot of work still to do.
This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Fair play to Joe Redmond and Tim Clancy for fronting up and speaking last night. It is not easy when you're in the situation that they are. Let's get the thoughts now of former Saint and of course former Republic of Ireland player Keith Treacy. Immediately after the game, as the Bohs fans were still down at the shed end singing and celebrating, he told us what he thinks is going right for the Saints, or wrong for the Saints, I beg your pardon, and right for Bohs. But first, his thoughts on the actual game itself.
Probably could have been more had Bohs wanted to be. It's very hard to find any positives there from a Pat's point of view, to be honest with you. They were second best, they were out fought in the middle of the pitch. Desire seemed to be all with Bohs, the energy was all with Bohs, the quality in the final third was all with Bohs. And it was very, very slow build-up play again from Pats. The same stuff were thrown at them, and the space is all over the park. Bohs exploited it really, really well. You see it with the first goal, when Coots gets turned, there's just too much space all over. They need to be an awful lot more compact. They need leaders out there, and an awful lot of poor performance from Pats. But Bohs were excellent, I have to say. A Dublin derby, they came here, set the tempo. Brilliant away performance from Bohs.
We'll go into detail a bit more on the goals in just a moment, but let's concentrate on Bohs, because not only were they the best team tonight across the league, it sounds like, But they've been the best team in the league so far. 4 wins from 5, top of the table. What impressed you about them? This was your first night to see them up close.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Afolabi up front. Akintunde, both of them absolute handful, work really hard. And when you've got two target men like that who are so good at keeping the ball up, and they're agile as well, they will get around the pitch. MacDonald will do so much running off the ball as well, which is a huge help. And Cute has that bit of quality as well. And Cork at left back was really good. All over the pitch, Flores didn't really catch the eye, but just keeps things ticking over in there really good. So look, Bohs looked the real deal. You know, Pats would have been thinking, can we get in the mixer for the European race here? And for me, Bohs look favourites early on, because really impressed with them today.
You had to build from the back. It's a cliche, but it's a true one. That's what Bohs seem to be doing. And you picked it up actually in the warm-up. They looked like they were working on their back four shape, and their back four was so solid. Now, they had a back four when Pats had the ball. They had a back three when they had the ball. It's very easy to say it like that, isn't it? It's very easy to say, well, you transition and it's easy, but it's not. They did it really well.
Yeah, they do. In transition, Bohs are really good. They will give away fouls when the press gets beat, which is what you need to do, the dark arts of the game. But if they're attacking down the left, Kirk will go and get involved. He will go and get involved down the left wing, but the right back will come over and make it a three at the back. And you see, like we can see the whole pitch here, Oisin, from up here, and the way they move across the pitch. Pats are moving from side to side, left to right. Bohs were letting them do it. They were really solid in their shape, just waiting for the right time to go and close the door and nick the ball. I thought Bohs' plan here was just excellent.
You mentioned that maybe at times Pats need to go direct, and they weren't direct enough so far this season. They did try that tonight, didn't they? They
did, and look, you've got to think, which way are Bohs going to approach this game? For me, they know Pats want to play out in the back. They want to build up through the third. So why not try and clip one over the top of Bohs every now and then from the start? It just gives them a different option in their head. The Bohs players, all of a sudden, instead of going to press the ball, they're thinking, well, it's going to go chipped over my head. I'm not going to make that 5-yard run anymore. All of a sudden, holes start to appear. People are on different wavelengths. But Pats just didn't have enough questions. And like I said, the big thing with it being a Dublin derby, Oisin, was the second balls. They didn't pick up enough second balls, and they lost the fight in the middle of the pitch.
From what you can see on the pitch, what's going wrong for Pats at the moment? It's 3 losses in a row, so that's a pattern. That's a rut.
Well, the big thing for me was how isolated Tom Lonergan was at times. He works really hard. He does his best, but he needs help up there. He's a young lad. He's still finding his way in the league. This is his biggest move so far at Pats, but he's isolated an awful lot. So,
why and how does that happen, though? Because we've seen it. Surely the manager is seeing it as well.
Well, the left, Sam Curtis and Breslin, they're getting pinned back by the Bohs players. So when Pats do win it, they're giving it straight up the front, and it's such a big run. It's 70-60 yard run, and by the time you get there, your legs are like jelly. You're trying to control the ball and have some quality, and the easiest thing to do when you are tired is to turn out and play the ball backwards, and that's a big thing that Pats do a lot. When they get the ball, they break a line, and they will come back and recycle it again. When you break that line, you have to be ruthless. You have to risk the ball. You know, for me, what's the point in having 60% possession if you're not getting shots on goal? Drop that down to 40%, but be a lot more productive with it, and just give people different options. You know, play long, play short, play through the middle. It's just all a little bit one pace at the minute, Oisin.
As we speak, it's almost immediately after the game. As people listening, it's most likely Saturday. Hopefully we're going to get some reaction from the St. Pat's camp and indeed the Bohs camp, but that's almost certain, because it's always much easier to get winning managers than it is losing managers. How does Tim Clancy get this right? What does he do? Do you have honest conversations? Do you berate guys? How can you try and turn something like this around?
It's a really tough one, Oisin, but 3 on the bounce, you know, there needs to be a reaction. I'm sure, look, you start taking days off, you start telling the lads they're in when they should be off, you start working them harder. There's only one way out of this, and it's hard work. You know, it doesn't just click into gear. They need to run harder, they need to have more desire, and they need to have more energy, and they need to play football in the right area of the pitch. So there's an awful lot of improvements to be made from Pats from a personal point of view. And I'm sure Tim Clancy, the first thing I do on a Monday morning, I'm sure Tim will probably do it, is get the tape of this out and let the lads have a look through and just talk through what he wants them to be and where they need to be. And, you know, the big thing for me is getting a partner for Tom Lonergan. If you're going to play Tom Lonergan, I think you need an Owen Doyle next to him, a Mark Doyle.
Do you start Doyle, though? Is that the lesson? Along with Lonergan?
Possibly, but then you're thinking of a 2 up front, and you know, Tim likes to play 5 at the back, so you're losing a player in the offensive third. So look, there's an awful lot of balls up in the air, but the big thing for me is how isolated Tom Lonergan was at times. It was really noticeable.
Just before I let you go, what about Bohs? They I guess just need to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, they've been really good. Like I said, the only real blemish was the Shelbourne defeat, but they've been really good. Some of the, like McDonald, I'm really impressed with him. Afolabi, Akatunde, absolute handful. Flores behind them as well. You can see why Bohs are doing so well. And defensively, like, there was periods where Pat put some decent quality into the box, but yeah, the two centre halves for Bohs, they get themselves into brilliant positions and just mop everything up. Really good reading of the game.
Okay, Keith Treacy, formerly of St. Pat's, thanks for joining us on the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Reaction to come from all the other games in the Premier Division tonight, including Shelbourne scoreless draw with Shamrock Rovers. Obviously, Keith, you didn't see that game, but Shamrock Rovers have had a bumpy start to the season. What have you made of it?
Yeah, it hasn't been great. The game last week against Cork, obviously they got the 4-4 draw, very, very entertaining, but I'm sure Steve and Bradley be thinking, we can't allow people to get away from us already. I know we're only on the 5th game, but you do not want to see yourself down the wrong end of the table, and that's what Shamrock Rovers are seeing already.
Will it be okay?
I think they'll stay up, Oisin. Yeah, I think they'll definitely stay up. But the longer the season goes, the more European games come in, the cup games come in, Shamrock Rovers could find themselves playing catch up very, very early. So for me, they need to get back on the wagon sharpish.
Well, since we mentioned Shamrock Rovers there, let's stay on that subject. After their scoreless draw against Shelbourne last night, as you were listening, at Tolka Park, Stephen Bradley actually said that he thought they played okay, thought maybe they should have won the game. Jay McGuinness, formerly of Shamrock Rovers, Sligo, Bohs and Cliftonville. I could be missing a club there, I'm not sure. Anyway, Jay McGuinness was at the game and afterwards sent us this voice note.
Really entertaining game, typical Dublin derby. From a Rovers point of view, they had a lot of build-up play, didn't really create a lot. Only one noteworthy strike from Tell with good play off Gaffney. To be fair to Shels, they've done a really, really good job nullifying their top players in Jack Bourne and Graham Burke, who didn't really get going. They're the main men for Shamrock Rovers, but from a Shelbourne point of view, they did work extremely hard. This is typical of Damien Duff's side. They get about the pitch. You can't fault them for commitment and effort. Towards the end, it became a really entertaining, exciting game. Rovers did have a lot of possession, but I'd say a 0-0 fair result from Tolka Park.
This is the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that was Jay McGuinness, who was watching Shelbourne's scoreless draw against Shamrock Rovers. Shamrock Rovers yet to win a game in the league this season. But I have to say, I agree with Stephen Bradley, who says there isn't an issue and they will come right. You can see by watching them that will happen. Right, a scoreless draw between Derry City and Dundalk. Gareth Mc Glynn, formerly of Derry City, was at the game and afterwards sent us this voice note.
Hey, it's Gareth Mc Glynn here reporting from a very cold Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium, where the visitors were Dundalk, who came to the Brandywell last year and picked up 2 victories, one of the only teams to do so. Derry obviously very buoyant after the victory in Tala, and then that was followed up by the 3 points picked up at the UCD Bowl. It was an entertaining 0-0 draw. Derry had a few decisions to be made in the middle of the park, where they brought in Aaron McGuinness, obviously their top goal scorer with 4 goals. They played Aaron, Diallo and Patrick McElhinney in the middle and pushed Patching to the left with Graydon on the right. It was a good start to the game for Dundalk, and after 5 minutes there was a warning shot where Boyle got free at the back stick and put a header just wide. It took about 10 minutes for Derry to get to grips with the game. They had a great move down the right hand side where Cole put in a ball for Jim McMonigal, who just couldn't connect with a clean shot from 6 yards. There was a huge blow for Derry City after 16 minutes, where the influential centre half of Conley, who, to be honest with you, has been one of the best performers at the Brandywell Stadium since coming to the club, he chased a ball into the corner and pulled up with what looked like a serious hamstring injury. He actually had to be stretchered off, so that was a huge blow for them. He was replaced by Boyce, so Boyce went to the right back and Cole went to left centre half, with Big Shane McElhinney right hand side of the centre half. And in fairness to Derry, it didn't affect them too much, and they pushed Derry back for the next 10 minutes. Then Yukonoko shot over from the edge of the box for Dundalk. That was followed by another shot by Derry from the edge of the back where McGuinness, it was almost like a snapshot, but Shepherd did well just to push it wide. Then Dundalk lost a player of their own. Kelly went down injured and he was replaced by Alfie Lewis, who I have to say last year when he came to Brandywell twice, he was probably man of match on both occasions. Tulloch then moved to the left hand side and started to give Derry real problems down that right hand side. Him and Bohs had a real good battle all night. Derry finished the first half stronger with 2 great crosses from Ben Doherty on the left and Grayson on the right, with nobody in the middle to tuck them away. The last kick of the first half came with, it was actually a left foot shot from Graydon, who powered in from the right hand side, and the shot just flew past Shepherd's right hand side upright. The second half started slowly, but on the 50th minute, Graydon again went on a great run down the right hand side and pulled it back to McGuinness, but it was a tame shot from him. Derry made a change in the 55 minutes, taking off McGuinness, who was not pleased to be taken off. Now, he was replaced by Ollie O'Neill, and the change gave Derry much better balance on the pitch, with O'Neill on the left hand side and Graydon on the right, and they did dominate for the remaining 10 minutes there. On the hour mark, Dundalk made a change of their own. They brought John Martin on, coming on from Mealy. Doherty and O'Neill then was getting real good combinations going down the left hand side, and Derry were causing real problems. They combined a couple of times down the left hand side. O'Neill won a corner, and then Shane McElhinney off that corner had a real good chance from about 8 yards out with a header, but again failing to hit the target. After that, Patchin tried one of his audacious free kicks from near the touchline, and he was trying to catch out Shepherd. In fairness, Shepherd wasn't getting there, but the ball just missed the post. And Derry, to be honest, were massively on top, and Stevie O'Donnell just knew that he needed to make a change, and he did. He made a triple change after the hour. He brought off Hoban, Tulloch and Yukonoko coming off, and then Benson, O'Kane and Elliott coming on. And then on the 73rd minute, the ref had a big call to make. With Graydon powering in from the right-hand side, Sloggett fouled him when he was just about to run straight at the centre of the Dundalk defence. The ref looked like he was going to bring out a card, but realised that the Sloggett was already booked, and kind of he almost took his hand away from his pocket and waved play on. To be honest with you, I think he bottled it a little bit there. Then the 62nd minute, Derry were pushing again. Patching made a great delivery, and Shane, again, it was almost a carbon copy of his first chance. He just didn't extend. He was trying to glance it into the corner, whereas really he should have powered it back to where it came from. It was all Derry at this stage now, and in the 80th minute, Dundalk made a rare foray up the pitch. They got a corner and they crowded the Derry City 6-yard box, and Benson delivered a wonderful cross, only for Derry's man of the match on the night, Patrick McElhinney, to rise highest than anybody and get a clearing header. On the 84th minute, we had the best chance of the night when Ben Doherty put in a corner from the right hand side, and Boyce got up like a salmon with a free header from 6 yards. He was right in the middle of the goal, and it was very unlike him. Usually he's really aggressive in both boxes, but again he just tried to glance it into the corner and got it all wrong. From then, Derry just dominated the game and pushed Dundalk back, and with the ref putting up 4 minutes, again it was 4 minutes of Derry pressure, but they could not force a winner. Probably a fair result on the night. If anything, Derry probably should have shaded it and deserved the 3 points. But both managers will be happy to continue unbeaten and go on to next week.
Gareth Mc Glynn watching Derry scoreless draw with Dundalk for the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Interestingly enough, Rory Higgins was interviewed after the game and he was really frustrated. He thought, especially in the second half, they were the better team. He wasn't sure what the prognosis is on Mark Connolly. He says that so soon after the game, he couldn't possibly say, but Candy Stripe supporters will be praying that Mark Connolly makes a very quick recovery. For Dundalk, they have a quick turnaround. They're up against Drogheda next Thursday night. Speaking of Drogheda, they got a 1-0 win away to UCD. Ronan McNamara of extratime.com was there, and afterwards sent us this voice note.
The pitch passed 2 inspections, with the latest coming in at 5 p.m. and it was the delight of the Boynesiders, who scored the only goal of the game 17 minutes from time through Emmanuel Adegbayega. The 19-year-old rose like a salmon to guide home Dale Rooney's free kick. Chances were at a premium in the first half, with crosses into the box a feature, the best chance falling to Darragh Markey, but he was denied by a Herculean block from Jack Keeney. Kevin Doherty's side found a purple patch around the hour mark, and after some pressure made UCD pay. UCD rang the changes after the goal and they rallied, but they couldn't quite click in the final third. Lincoln Loney Freddie Draper was impressive in the second half, and had it not been for a spectacular save from Cian Moore, he would have notched his second goal of the season. It's 2 wins from 5 for Drogheda, while UCD remain rooted to the foot of the table following their 4th successive defeat. Full time here in Belfield, UCD 0, Drogheda 1.
That was Ronan McNamara of extratime.com, who watched UCD's defeat to Drogheda at the UCD Bowl. Let's just remind you of Friday night's Premier Division scores. Shelburne 0, Shamrock Rovers 0, Derry City 0, Dundalk 0, UCD 0, Drogheda 1, St Patrick's Athletic 0, Bohemians 2. In the First Division, it finished Treaty United 0, Cove Ramblers 3. Jack Doherty with a couple of goals for Cove there, who have had a flying start. Athlone 0, Waterford 1, Bray Wanderers 0, Longford 0, Galway United 9, Kerry FC 1. And Finn Harps 0, Wexford FC 0. The fixtures tonight, that's if you're listening on Saturday. At 7:45, Sligo Rovers taking on Cork City. You can watch that game on LOI TV, or you can listen to it on Ocean FM. In the Women's National League, Bohemians taking on Shels at 3, At 5, it's Peamount against DLR Waves, and Cork City taking on Galway United. At 5:30, Shamrock Rovers take on Treaty United, and at 6, Wexford Youths are up against Sligo Rovers. It is St Patrick's week, so it's a bit of a strange kind of structure to the fixtures, by which I mean there's a game on Thursday night in the Premier Division. Drogheda United hosting Dundalk. Kick-off there is at 7:45. Next Friday, which of course is St Patrick's Day, Cork City host Shelburne at 5. Shamrock Rovers welcome St Patrick's Athletic also at 5. Bohs taking on UCD at 7:45, and Derry City are up against Sligo Rovers. At that night in the First Division, Cove Ramblers taking on Galway at 5, Wexford up against Kerry at 6, and at 7:45 it's Athlone taking on Treaty, that in the First Division. On Saturday at 3 o'clock, Waterford take on Bray, and Longford meet Finn Harps in the Women's National League. On Saturday it's Galway against Bohs, Shelburne against Shamrock Rovers, DLR Waves against Cork City, Treaty United against Athlone, Sligo Rovers taking on Peamount. The Treaty and Sligo games are off at 5. The game between DLR Waves and Cork City is at 4. At 2 o'clock, it's Shelburne against Shamrock Rovers. It's also a 2 o'clock start for Galway against Bohemians. So now you can plan your week around the First Division, the Premier Division, and the Women's National League. There will be a big in-depth dive to everything that's going on, or on everything that's going on in the League of Ireland across all 3 divisions, on the extratime.com League of Ireland podcast with Luke Jordan. That will be out later next week. Some really good stuff on last week's episode as well. They had a good long chat with Max Mata, and they assess everything that's going on in the Premier Division, First Division, and of course the Women's National League. That's it from myself, Oisin Langan. Remember, you can contact us via Twitter at Extra Time News, or you can get me on at Oisin Langan. This has been the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.